welcome to Fake Deep Thinking, just a group of guys talking about a bunch of bullshit. Today we have with us John.
What's up?
Doc.
Yo.
And myself, Eugene. All right, so we're going to start off the conversation with I think some funny news, which is the beef between Kevin Durant and Michael Rapaport. Am I saying his last name right? Rapaport?
Who cares? Who fucking cares at this point? This guy and his name.
So I have the DMs between them. So real quick, John, give us a rundown before this.
Okay,
the pre, then the text, and then the post.
Okay, so I forgot the question that Kevin Durant and Charles Barkley have a contentious relationship.
A little bit of a beef?
Yeah, a little bit of a beef. So after a game, I believe it was Kevin Durant's comeback game after not playing for 2 years, he was on minutes restriction, and Charles Barkley asked him a question like, because of this and this, you were doing this. Is that correct? And he said, yes. And Charles Barkley waited for a more elaborate response.
Yeah, from my understanding, Charles Barkley asked him a yes or no question. He just answered yes.
And how fast he answered yes was a little bit like it was fast. Like he was like, "Is that correct?" Yes.
Was it suspicious or was it disrespectful yet?
No, you could just tell. He said yes. He wasn't looking at the camera. He was looking
like
down,
he was buzzed
tired.
in.
After the game. Because after game, it's right after the game. He hasn't even gone to the locker room. He still has his towel on and everything. And so Michael Rapaport, who
he just want to be there, honestly. That's probably what it is.
And Michael Rapaport, who's always talking shit about players, LeBron, Kyrie. He's
an
literally
opinionated individual.
But he's also disrespectful. So
he
says he pops it off by commenting on KD, saying it was a chain of tweets, but the one that caught KD's attention, I guess, the most was he seemed super sensitive.
Yeah, I'll read the tweet real quick. It's kind of small, but I'll do my best. KD seemed deeply in his feels with the NBA on TNT crew after the game. Damn it, he's super sensitive about everything. Don't do the interview.
Also, another interesting tidbit about KD. Everybody's always told him to get off the internet since he got caught with the burner accounts and all that stuff back in the day. But he's literally...
How long ago was that, though?
A long time ago. But literally...
Wait, what happened with the burner accounts?
He got caught when he was like in his rookie contract, I believe. He was talking shit about his team from a burner account. Like, they won't. This is why they won't win championships. No, so like this is one thing I finally understood about KD. He enjoys this. Like, there's a lot of people who get angry and stuff like that. He does get angry and stuff, but he enjoys all of it.
He prioritized the enjoyment out of it.
Exactly. Like, so if KD did this, right, and he went out and you can see he was incensed by it. He's always wearing a chip on his shoulder. He doesn't. He does this. He gets on the internet in his free time. He engages with trolls, and then he goes and drops 40 points on you. Like nothing happened. Almost like it's his motivation. Mm-hmm. So he literally goes at trolls all day for fun. So enter...
All right,
KD.
Here comes the DMs, the back and forth. So Kevin Durant DMs Michael saying, taking a screenshot of that tweet I read out, and then commenting on it, telling him, "You a bitch."
That's to the point.
Michael, just do the fucking interview, and if you're upset about something they've said, say something. Up there looking like you were gonna cry and shit. And then KD, I did the interview, dickhead. Tell your baby daddy, Chuck, to be better at his job and frame his questions better. He gave me 2 options for that dumbass question, yes or no. And then Michael apparently shares I can't tell what this is. I don't know why they still ask for this idiot's opinion.
Yeah.
It's about KD.
That was Michael. That was Michael.
Yeah, I saw that. Why'd you take the foam head off to speak? All that.
Because he got serious, man.
I took the lid off, goddammit. No, that was Michael Rapaport commenting on KD. That's a quote from him commenting on KD.
Oh, okay. So he's just reaffirming his quote or reestablishing what he was saying. Gotcha. And then KD replies, I heard it all before, you cunt. Chuck doesn't need you as security, you pale, pasty, cum-guzzling bitch. I swear I'ma spit in your face when I see your dirty ass. Bet your life on it. Meet me on 17th tomorrow at 10. Or better yet, what's your address? 10 a.m. at Catch Steak on the corner. Meet me there, pussy.
I would like to keep in mind that Kevin Durant currently plays for the Brooklyn Nets. And Michael Rapaport, who is from Brooklyn, currently lives in Los Angeles. So there would have been no meeting.
And then Michael responds.
I mean, Michael would have had some major props if he showed up.
No, for real. So street cred going on.
Whoa, shit.
I'm here. Where you at?
I'm here, bitch. That's all he could have said. I'm here, bitch.
All right. And then Michael replies, go help the kids in Brownsville, Brooklyn, and stop being a fucking puzz.
In my opinion, that message is when he said,
Mentally said.
I mentally said, I'm going to release this, and now I need to make myself look as good as possible.
Or
in the
bait him
interaction.
more or
I'm
whatever.
baiting him, yeah.
Gotcha. And then Kevin Durant replies, you a bitch for even caring how I do on an interview. All you do is cocksuck other men for attention. Trump didn't pay attention to your sorry ass, so now you want to use everybody else to get views and laughs. I kind of agree with him a little
I
bit.
ain't gonna lie, I've never heard anybody use cocksucker like this.
Yeah,
like,
I'm not gonna let me either.
This shit is hitting, dog.
And then he ends it. Your life is a joke, you fucking pale cocksucker. Go get some sun. It's fucking with your brain, piece of shit. And then again, Michael replies, go to Brownsville and help the people that need it. Goofball. That's what that says. And then Kevin, you go do it, you clown. Good for you. But nobody gives a fuck. Suck a dick. Can't wait to tell you all this in person. And then pretty much Katie just going in like this. There's a bunch of Katie stuff. Oh, this was you told me this was after Katie found out. Go for it.
So currently Michael Rapaport has a open case, a civil suit, I believe, against Barstool, the owner of Barstool. I think his name is Kevin Portney. I don't know his first name. His last name is Portney. For defamation of character because of T-shirts that have Michael Rapaport on it with a herpes bump on his lip. And there's a catchphrase or something on there, but it doesn't say anything about herpes. It's just implied. Also, he recently split with Barstool.
What's his last name? Portney?
Portney, yeah.
Let me see if I can pull up the short quick.
Portnoy. Yeah, because I've heard Schultz say it like that. Portnoy.
I don't know. Let me just look up the shirt. There we go. Okay. Dude, that's actually kind of funny.
That shirt is crazy. I ain't gonna lie. I need a medium. Yo, what if Kevin Durant comes out wearing
I don't see the
shirt?
phrase though. I just
What
see the
if
shirt.
Kevin
Dude,
Durant
that would
buys
be
this
funny.
shirt?
That'd be great. But I don't see a phrase. There's another one
There's no
that's
phrase,
unboxing, but it's just the shirt with him.
Yeah, but they're using his. So he could have sued them for using his likeness.
His likeness. There you go. That's.
But he went,
instead
like-
of defamation. And, yeah, a poor use of the law. And then
Poor use of his ego.
fair. And then the last message. Then we're getting to it. A bunch of laughing emojis. You called your lawyer like the pussy you are. Ha 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 ha. Couldn't talk. Portney talking shit. You couldn't talk or couldn't take.
You couldn't take Portney talking shit.
You couldn't take Portney talking shit. Little mistype there. Defamation of character. Crying, laughing. Pussy ass want a lawyer up. Your wife mad as because you wasting that little bit of money on a lawyer because you can't take the joke. Ha 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 ha. How pussy are you? Your wife doesn't even respect your bitch ass. Damn.
So he releases these. Damn. And so currently, KD has been fined $50K by the NBA, which is the maximum legal fine for something.
He was fined?
For the speech
For-
that he used. Unbecoming of the NBA.
Yeah, I can definitely see that,
They
especially
can fine you
the
for stuff like that. Yeah.
the
I-
homosexual
And
remarks.
look, I'm not trying to get complicated, Gene. I'm not trying to get complicated.
right.
But if we can say, and this is not
No,
racial,
you're not wrong.
But if we can say don't kneel and all that type of shit, like you represent us. You're some form of representation. So like your time.
And that's not good
That's
representation.
not good. Like regardless of how. it
No, the
looks.
whole thing. He
Yeah,
was just
like-
going at him. Just
and I ain't gonna lie.
honestly,
He's so
the
eloquent.
one, the
way
one
he-
phrase is the one that made sense to me.
pasty?
That yeah, you pasty come. Yeah, that one is like okay.
He's here for this.
Okay, yeah, it's like okay.
And he gladly paid the fine. And his apology was fantastic.
Yeah,
He
so-
apologized that you guys saw that.
I'm not apologizing for what I said.
No, yeah, I'm sorry you guys saw that.
Saw it.
And everybody's so mad about his apology. He might lose some endorsements because of it. Like there's a
I
lot.
don't think
He's
so.
getting a lot of backlash because of it. The LGBT community, funny enough, has not come out and attacked him. So everything happened to him is preemptive. But Michael Rapaport is getting nobody wants to play with his dog anymore. So
So now let's segue into this. So Michael Rapaport went on Undisputed, and
dog.
yeah, Shannon's funny. And it starts, I think, right here.
Absolutely.
I don't know if y'all can hear it. Hopefully you can. If not, I'll try to edit it in. But he starts,
Crying.
and not even, well, I say fake crying. He forces it,
He's an
clearly.
actor.
But, Doc, you just see his facial expressions. You don't really need to hear it. Just watch his facial expressions.
Look at it. I'm disgusted, dude. I'm so fucking. Oh,
It's been tough.
it's been crazy tough.
It's been crazy. I
That's
don't do
what
good.
you do.
I don't do
for
good
a
with
living.
smears and
Oh, this is where it gets bad. Wheezy. Oh, Wheezy. Oh, the poor dog, Wheezy. Because you're sensitive.
You see the guy on the left roll his eyes. Like, what the fuck?
Shannon,
Yeah, Shannon.
Shannon cannot stand none of it. And look, Shannon's actually really close friends with Michael Rapaport up until this moment. Because Shannon's a former athlete.
he's still trying. That's what he's still milking
He's
this.
still trying.
Like,
and Shannon's sitting there, dude.
all right, that's pretty much all. Like, it's just.
He just asked him one question.
I think
and-
this revealed so much in
Oh,
his
man.
like that
And-
right there. The
And
first.
the funniest thing that came out of this, his whole spiel is, I'm a white guy who's not Hollywood. I'm from New York. I'm from the hood. I was in White Man Can't Jump. I was in all these. He's been in all the black movies. Coming to America.
He's
all,
hip.
He's the guy. He was the guy. So now he's acting like a total like.
Dude,
Who's now? If somebody were to be called racist here, who, in your opinion, should it be? Because in my opinion, somebody baited somebody else, used their standing to gain leverage, and now is trying to play the victim.
I said this before we started the podcast. He's just trying to get his name cycling again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And even
and he's probably he probably posted all that stuff just to get the woke
He said,
mob
"I had
on
no idea."
Kevin Durant, just so you could be like, oh, dude, I could probably cancel him. Let me see, and then post all of this stuff.
Isn't
and
this
go out to it.
revealing though? Like,
Gene wants to talk about liberalism.
no,
Well,
it's because it's leftism.
Leftism.
It's
It-
leftism.
But I'll tell you what,
mean-
Nigerians were not allowed to eat with our left hands.
Go for it, Doc. Sorry.
I think it reminds me of like high school, man. Like when you put out some text and somebody bullies you like that, and if you can't deal with it there, you go to the principal, and if it comes out, and the whole school knows, and everybody's like upset and stuff like that. But then like the guy who puts it out runs the potential of looking like a bitch, and everybody
Man.
at school, like you almost reaffirmate the guy who's calling you a bitch by doing that. And so
By doing
I
bitch
feel like
ass things.
yeah, so I think Kevin was doing that, but like I don't know, like modern society right now is just like the bitch ass thing is the thing you need to do, and so I feel like that's kind of what's happening right now. Where
But this is
we're
such a
all-
bad acting job.
Yeah, it's weird.
This is such a bad acting.
But that's all it is, though.
And the people that would normally play with my dog Wheezy, they don't play with my dog Wheezy.
I don't want to go on a rant about this, but we have nurtured and coddled victim mentalities. Now people
And
know
men.
everybody, and women, men, everybody. It is now known that if you are a victim, you will probably,
You're owed something.
well, not owed something, but yeah, you'll get away with it. You're gonna come out on top. You're gonna win whatever
You're gonna start a
Yeah,
GoFundMe.
whatever it
Well,
is.
the other thing I think is weird too is that like
And he's clearly trying to play the victim role here, crying about people not wanting to pet his dog,
Y'all have to
about a
understand.
bakery calling him cupcake.
They're a bakery, first off. First off, they're
Oh
a
my
fucking
gosh.
bakery. And second
You
off,
can't take this guy seriously, dude.
anyway, it's just I don't know. It's interesting to me that people like to be the victim now. It's
it's
very
also really weird too because it's Kevin basically responding to a heckler. Like he's
Mm-hmm.
not really. Like if somebody in the stands is just like you bitch, and he's just like biting his lip, like I just gotta play. I gotta play through this shit. I'll get to it later, and he got to it later, and it's just like one of those things where I don't know. I kind of can't blame Kevin like for
I think he was
responding
very
to
creative.
that tweet.
But my issue is, so let me know if I'm just being like Gene or being too much here. I think he was trying to play the victim card because he wanted to take advantage of the narrative of when men express their feelings and when people, mainly not people, but mainly
I
men.
think all of the narrative, dude. Like not
No,
even
yeah.
just that. Like
You want
all of it.
I
the
completely
left-
agree with that,
The
but-
left narrative that you like, the left. No, I'm agreeing with you. Like I'm not even.
No,
being-
I know.
Yeah,
it's
right.
just kind of funny that we're there right now. It's just funny that we're here right now.
We're not right.
The only thing what I was trying to, I guess, focus on, not the whole encompassing of the leftist stuff, was just the fact that when men express emotion, it's like a negative thing, and people try to stigmatize people like, don't make fun of men expressing emotion. He was not expressing a sadness or emotion. He was manipulating people to make people think. So if we attack him because he's quote unquote crying, it's not because he's expressing emotion. It's because he's faking it. He's not being sincere or genuine. He's clearly trying to deceive and manipulate to get a certain outcome.
At any moment reading the messages between them, did you actually think Kevin Durant was going to waste his time to come and fight this man?
Like you established earlier, Kevin Durant is in Brooklyn and Michael Rapaport is in California.
100%. And then I thought, the most genius response there? He said, why don't you go take care of the kids in Brownsville? He said, fuck you, you do it. Yes. Why don't you do it? You know about them. You over here trying to spend my money.
Could you argue, and this is me definitely trying to take a leap here, could you argue that right there was racist?
Why the kids in Brownsville? Why is it called
Why do
Brownsville?
I have... Why are you telling me, like, to go take care of this? Why specifically me? Because I'm black?
You from there. Kevin Durant's from Maryland or Washington, D.C. Michael Rapaport's from Brooklyn, New York. What you did for the kids in Brownsville. Like, I just don't get it.
I guess, yeah, Kevin could have pivoted on that if he really wanted to. I just think it's funny that Kevin starts the entire, like, conversation with a fucking, like, site. Like, he, like, quotes it. Like, he takes a picture of what he said on Twitter and puts it in there, and he's just like, you a bitch. Coming at you, and I'm showing you Exhibit A as to why you're a bitch. Like,
This is my proof.
And he proves him right, too, with everything that unfolded. His responses to it, then his interview with Skip and Shannon.
And then he's just reaching, too, because if you just think about his lawsuit with the guy, too, he's just reaching for people to
Let's talk about what he said earlier in the interview about his wife. His breaking point was when he...
His wife's mad at him based on this interview, too.
I would be, too, because he's mischaracterizing the whole event. Trying to say what did he say specifically? He attacked my wife or something like that?
He disrespected.
Disrespected my wife.
I wanted to use the
He
exact word.
disrespected you, dude. He never said anything about your wife. He just said that your wife doesn't
There's no
respect you.
for you. And honestly speaking,
Yeah, I can understand.
I was just wild. I don't know. It's a trend you see. I wanted to say something on it earlier. I kind of forgot, but it's a trend that we're seeing a lot lately with people just trying to monetize their victimhood.
Completely. The snake eating itself. It's getting worse and worse. I feel like
It's turning comedian. Okay, so for example,
Ooh.
could you imagine if Dave Chappelle?
Oh, that would be the end of Dave
said
Chappelle.
this
I feel like
LGBT person in my inbox was calling me all types of names.
that wouldn't be Dave Chappelle, and if he did do that, that would be the end of Dave Chappelle. I would argue.
That's it. But this guy wants both. He wants to sue them.
But I feel
He
like
wants
this is
to keep
within
his
his character.
characterization.
I don't know him like
No,
that.
his character that he plays, tough guy, tough white.
Well, his character he plays, but I mean,
No, I
like
mean-
his actual person.
is a character. We
Okay,
don't
you
know
got
who
me
he
there.
is.
All right, you're fair.
Like
Fair.
Michael Rapaport that shows up on here is the same one that we've seen in every single fucking movie. It's the same guy. He doesn't
Yeah,
even
that's
act
true.
anymore. Plays the loudmouth guy who's giving it to you straight.
All right. I think we talked enough about this. Didn't mean to get pull politics into this, but we got just a little bit.
Just a little bit. Look at him with his mouth open, cocksucker.
All right, let's get away.
it's funny because the snippet of Kevin looks like he's just finished saying that. He's fucking pissed in that photo.
It really looks like Kevin, like Michael just snitched on him. He's like, hey, man, he called me a cocksucker. And the judge's like, Kevin, did you call him a cocksucker? And then Kevin just looked straight at Michael. Well, if he's out there sucking cocks, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. All right.
Let's move. Let's actually talk about this real quick. I thought this was very interesting, and since we literally watched this little video doc sent right before we started the podcast, and that's about the Moderna vaccine and the mRNA hacked. So, Doc, give us a quick rundown. Let's get into it.
Yeah, so scientists pre-approved went in off of basically empty sample bottles or empty bottles of used up vaccine.
Syringes,
And, yeah, and they took the sequence out from like whatever was left inside the bottles, like whatever materials were still there, and they basically published them on the internet for everybody to see
The
and
sequence,
everybody to have
the
access
actual,
to it.
yeah, the actual sequence of the vaccine.
Yeah, so everybody essentially knows the blueprints on how to make the vaccine, whether they're capable or not. It's totally up to the country, the culture, the places where they are, and the funding that they can provide.
Good luck.
Yeah, that's the hard part. And actually, it's funny because in that video, the guy's like, "Oh, so nobody's gonna be doing home brews? Oh, that's a shame. I'd be the first to try it." I'm like, "Really? Really? Like
Homebrew.
people are already scared of like
Well, you can
the."
definitely do it, but next thing is, would you actually test it on yourself?
That's the thing, right? Like I'd rather, like people are already scared of the vaccine. I'd rather take the giant corporations vaccine than the one
100%.
some guy made down the street. You know what I mean? Or like the local like hospital where they were just
Y'all
like, let's
remember
try it.
Altered
Let's see what
Carbon?
happens.
There was a scene where they went to the bounty hunters her dad's shop, and actually this made me think of that in an opposite way, where it's more natural, I guess, via science instead of technology, which still is technically science. But you know what I'm saying? Like instead of it being a workshop where you goddamn switch arms mechanically, you go there and you
Switch
mess with
sleeves?
with your proteins, your mRNA, or whatever the fuck
Dude,
you're
but
switching at.
actually, that's what I'm thinking this whole stuff is leading to because now they're publishing like the genetic sequence of the virus and the vaccine and how it can interact and stuff like that. So you
is
can basically
cool.
figure it out. I think it's rad. It's just like I mean, when I
It's a
texted
weird
you all the
road that we
video,
have
like
no idea where it's gonna go.
as I'm saying, like we're
Superpowers.
entering that age of like, yo, we could really start
Manipulating
seeing
this
people manipulating genetic material and gene splicing.
Yeah.
I can go into a store
in-
and change my eye color and walk out.
That'd
No,
be
but
crazy,
the whole
dude.
point is you
Yeah,
can do it
like-
yourself though, because
Mom and pop shop.
like yeah, when we first started watching, yeah, exactly. When we first started watching this, preface that like this is what the whole free the code thing is. People want the source code to like softwares, apps, all that kind of stuff to be able to do their own thing with it. This is technically that same thing, but with the vaccines and
Body is
exactly.
Because you talking about, I don't like the word hack when you're talking about the human body at all. At all. That's scary. I mean, it's also hopeful at the same time. It's like
Because there's good and bad you can do it. The good thing is the things you could cure, like
the
for
bad
example
thing is we're
cancer.
humans.
But the bad thing is people
We're
want
gonna do it.
superpowers.
Yeah, we're gonna go too
Yeah,
far.
and I
gonna
mean the
make a
good thing
villain.
too is like people who are really intelligent but just haven't had the opportunities to work for a major corporation or anything like that, but are like PhDs to the 9th level, but they're just normal people. They can get this and they can actually create breakthroughs
In their own little
which-
home lab. Kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
which would be awesome. The bad thing is if that guy fucks up, then he ends up like doing something terrible to something, or he decides to test it on himself, or God forbid, somebody
Zombies.
else.
Or if
Yeah,
he makes
it's like,
Corona.
there you go. It's like, oh shit.
Or maybe he's in a lab in Wuhan making Corona.
Maybe,
he
man, we
works at
don't
a
know.
fish market and he has a little
'Cause
makeshift lab
'cause that's-
behind the fish market.
But that's where biowarfare comes in, manipulating known viruses that we have and making it worse. Like that's technically what COVID arguably was.
Could I make somebody allergic to something?
Could
You
you
can-
make somebody allergic to something? I don't know about that.
So the craziest thing I ever read was that when they were trying to cure SARS, they actually taught it to retarget different parts of the body, and it was worse. So like normally, I think SARS is also a pulmonary disease, and so they taught it to go for the liver, and the livers are hard to replace. So they were just like, "Oh shit, this is so much worse," because once the liver goes, the rest of the body just dies from the toxins.
Aren't these
And-
people smart?
It's just that the virus like also is a living
do you mean?
thing,
Like,
so it's
Why
gonna
pick
react.
the liver?
It's
Because-
just gonna react. Like,
Yeah,
they
but how
don't
is
know.
that thing? How is that smart or not smart?
Why would you pick
The fact that
thing
you're able
that's
to, the fact that
most-
you're able to readjust its target infection or whatever it's called.
genius.
It's genius. Exactly.
Yeah, but then you undo all of it by saying, "Hey, okay, let me pick the one organ that we only have one of." Like, what are you talking about?
I think that was just a
An accident?
reaction.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. That's
they
what I'm
just
saying.
saw
I
it
thought they
happen. They were like,
picked
"Oh,
the
this
liver."
we need to stop this. Like, we can't control that."
Okay, I thought they were like, "Oh, no,
I mean, one could argue
the liver
biowarfare. I mean, they got a whole new weapon now.
attacking livers."
Oh gosh.
Man, where my 50
Yeah.
jacket?
God
at?
forbid, man.
The trouble with it,
damn.
I think the biggest trouble with biowarfare is that it's indiscriminate. And
Yeah.
that's the hard part. Like, if China was to admit that they did this, every country on the planet would just be like, no.
I think it'd be the
Where,
best thing
like-
for the world for China to admit it, because then we would have an example of a possibility of how it would go, and I think
We would, but the
It would give the world an enemy.
the
100%.
mauling that would happen to that country would be really scary. I actually
okay,
think that
no,
like the
no,
country would defend itself violently too. 'Cause it's
Yeah,
back
I
into
agree.
a corner. So it's like, what's to stop them from just like firing nukes at neighbors and stuff like that if they're backed in a corner?
Damn,
Which
I'm
I think
just
would
saying,
be
for the world's benefit, them motherfuckers gotta admit that shit, bro. You got fucking, they trying to listen. You gotta admit that shit, bro. Y'all fucked up.
If you fucked up, it's okay.
It's okay. You just gotta admit it.
Just gotta admit it.
I'm not mad that you did it.
I'm annoyed.
I'm mad that you lied.
I'm
to me.
more mad that you lied. Exactly.
Like
I'm
she's listening right
disappointed.
now, and he's just like, "Fuck, John, I know, man, but I can't say it, dude.
I can't do it. I can't do it. He's right. I just can't do it. No, I understand, brother. It's okay. I still love you.
Can't take the flack.
You can't take it.
Yeah, I think this stuff is wild, man.
No,
that, like,
it's
we're putting out
super
genetic
wild.
sequences like that. Cool thing about it though is that Moderna's totally cool with it. They're like, it makes
yeah.
sense too, because I can't imagine the PR nightmare that they would go through if they were like, yeah, we're gonna keep one of the cures to this secret, and we're gonna hold it to ourselves and give it only to the people that bought it.
No,
And it's just like, dude, they would never recover from something like that.
Yeah. What's
they
the
should
term?
hire that
property,
CEO
not
from-
property rights.
intellectual
Property. They haven't gone through it like any lawsuit.
Yeah,
and stuff,
I mean,
stuff, which is really cool
technically-
on their part.
You're right. The thing that's crazy is that the fact that sequence, and they showed the picture in the video when I
Yeah,
showed
they
it to
did.
you all,
Yeah.
that is technically considered intellectual property.
Yeah.
And it's just fucking wild that I'm like, dude, that's the cure to save the planet. Like, and that's somebody's property. Like, what the fuck? Like,
That's the wildest concept. That's why I said, man.
That's pretty cool, I think.
No, I think bureaucracy is going to be the death of us one time. But at one point, hey, fire the nuke. We got something coming. Hold on, you got to fill the proper paperwork.
sign here
Good.
and here.
You sign here and here.
Oh, hold on. We need Bob today to turn the other key
Yeah.
in because Bob's the only one allowed to turn that key. And
He's off on
out today
Wednesdays.
sick. He's yep.
Did you
Off
bring a
on
witness?
Wednesdays.
You didn't bring
did
a witness?
Is this not?
Okay,
You got a
Another one.
co-signer, bro.
Is this not notarized? What are we doing here? Thought you were gonna change the world today, huh? Come back in 2 weeks, 7 to 14 business days. Like that shit is wild to me. Like for example, the one you brought up on the previous podcast about the killing of the animals
Mm.
Oh yeah,
to
all those
save
minks?
the
To
animals.
save the animals. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ha! Ha! Oh man, we're getting smarter. I swear, we are getting smarter.
All right.
Yeah, it's just so wild, man. I can't imagine what's gonna happen the day a company says no. That's our property.
All right. Well,
Like,
on the topic of the whole vaccine and corona, let's talk about the vaccine passports and what we think about it, how we feel about it, and all that kind of stuff.
I don't even like the way the word looks.
So, I honestly, full disclosure, haven't looked too much into vaccine passports. I just really am not for the whole idea and concept of it all. Biden came out and apparently said that he's not going to use the government to establish it. He's going to let the market do it, which is even more, I think, kind of. I don't know if the word would be manipulative, but it's kind of, I don't know. It's like, that's okay, bro.
You have to let him get away with that. You have to let him get away with that
I
because
understand.
Trump probably would have did the same thing because we had no choice.
No, but then my rebuttal would have been, what if Trump came out and said a vaccine passport?
That's what I'm saying. He would have had to do the same thing. No, not like forced it. He would have had to let the private sector determine it because that's all we have.
Well, I guess my thing I'm focusing on when I say that was the reaction to the vaccine passports. Obviously, the people on the right.
He knew what the reaction would be.
Obviously, people on the right were like, hell no. And then people on the left were like, oh, it's such a great idea. But if the roles were switched, I would argue. Well, I'm reluctant to admit that people on the right would be like, yes, Trump did it. I'm down. I'm maybe that's my bias, but I feel like the left would be like, no, Trump's doing this. Oh, dictator. Oh, fascist.
Yeah, I don't even think people would
He's
believe in Trump
separating
doing it.
us. Actually, you're right. The narrative would have gone weird.
Exactly.
They
That's
never
why.
went.
It's
No,
been,
I completely agree. But I'm just saying he played this well because literally any president would have to. We only have 2 sectors. And we know we don't want the government to enforce this. This is Pontius Pilate washing his hands of the resurrection of Jesus. I mean the crucifixion of Jesus.
China did this shit even before there was a vaccine, where they separated people in the cities. If you
Let the
had,
people
like-
decide. I wash my hands clean of this. That's exactly what he did. Y'all can blame yourselves.
it's just weird to me. I don't know.
That's 100% weird. I don't believe in none of this shit. And I see passports, and I think of it as athletic challenge to get by showing them my passport.
I mean, what could also argue, if I'm trying to play devil's advocate, is we already have to prove that we have a certain amount of vaccines when we do go to certain countries.
100%.
It's just, I guess my question is, does COVID need to be on that list? Because
You actually
COVID,
just changed my mind a little bit.
because COVID has a survival rate amongst a certain age group of 99.97. And once you get past, I think it's like 660 or something like that, it does go down. So that's why
I
I
think
don't,
based
I
on
don't
the variants of COVID and like our continued study of it, I think that should be our final determination on it.
I just think it's
we
too
put
soon.
it on the list.
I just think it's
until-
too soon to do that.
Honestly, now I think we put it on the list until we know for sure it
Okay,
should
that's
be on
fair.
the list.
That's fair.
I think if we have to leave to another country, then yeah, it makes sense if their policies are that, and I don't want to like impede on them. But within our own country, I don't.
If I'm going
I
to
don't agree
Tennessee
with it.
and
But
show
the government.
Say that again, Doc.
I don't agree the government enforcing it. I do agree that if a business is just like, hey, I only want to serve to people with passports, then I'm just like, well, that's your business, because I mean, you can kind of essentially discriminate who you want to and not to. You can't do it based off of like race and like age or sex and stuff like that. But you can still choose to refuse service and stuff like that. So
that's wild.
That's up to them if they want to do it. Texas has already made it illegal though.
Yeah.
So I don't know about that.
And Florida too.
Okay, that makes more sense.
Our two hearts.
Oh, what were you say?
I said our two hearts. Florida ain't shit. I ain't gonna lie to you. They can get some shit right, but Florida ain't. They ain't on shit. I'm gonna be honest with you. That state right there is really Sodom and Gomorrah right now. That state,
Florida?
Wow, like that state. Oh my God, the debauchery going on down right there right now. People are going to Miami for 2 days, not leaving for weeks, because of all the debauchery going down out there. Everything's open.
Everybody there's got
people doing jelly shots off of belly buttons.
Fine. Everybody there has got no virus. It's fine. They'll be
Yeah.
fine.
Well, cases are going down. Florida and Texas.
Yeah, they all got it already.
They're herd
Herd
immunity,
immunity,
man. We
man.
finally got it. We finally achieved it. Wasn't that the goal, though?
It was at that one party that
That
all
one
of Florida
party.
attended. I'm telling you, all of Florida's been attending one party.
It was
for the
that
past
spring break
month.
surge.
But hey, I ain't mad at it.
Yeah, I don't know what to talk about here because this just comes down to whether or not you like the idea, you don't like the idea before you're like, the initial idea of it just makes me uneasy. And then my bias is I just think it's interesting that Biden, if Trump did it, it would have been a different reaction than Trump. And then also, I just feel like it's just too soon. We don't have we have enough data to show that COVID's at a certain age group, within a certain age group, is not as deadly, or at least like it's not as serious. So to go as extreme as require a passport to travel to prove you've been vaccinated just seems like an overreaction. That's why I like the point you said, like maybe we wait a little bit or have it tempered until we get more information.
It can't be. It can't be national
like
travel either. It definitely can't be national. I don't care what.
International, like
the conclusion
Doc said, makes sense.
But
Like you
not
go with other
national.
countries, they have other things. Like you got to be respectful of what they want, even if you don't like it or agree with it. Like it's not your home.
Yeah.
It's not your exact.
It's
like,
not your choice.
But domestically, it's like, dude,
Come
if I
on,
want to
dude.
go somewhere, like, and the argument I saw,
Are you gonna put checkpoints at every state line?
right?
Mm-hmm.
The argument I saw was apparently I don't remember the specifics of the argument because I thought it was kind of a stretch. Was apparently you could apply the Roe v. Wade court ruling to it because that ruling ruled that the government can't impede on your medical kind of privacy. Like you have a right to your medical privacy. Like you don't have to reveal that stuff. Like no, that's my private stuff. I don't have to tell you anything about it.
The thing
So,
I actually thought was interesting
I don't know.
was
It's just interesting.
But there's a I don't know if it's on Roe v. Wade, but there's different circumstances based on that too. Because for example, if I have HIV, God forbid, and I'm sexually active with someone, if I
disclose
don't,
that.
I can go to jail. Based on the
Oh, I can see that being like a
Yeah.
weird loophole. But oh man, COVID's so much more vague than HIV. I think.
100%,
Yeah.
and they're not the
That-
same
that
thing at all.
fucking
But I'm just saying,
sucks.
in
They
America,
I know
we
what you're trying
use
to say,
things to
though.
skate.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, unfortunately,
It's just weird how we're able to navigate. Like in one way we have this way, but in a completely different way, it's just
it's trickish.
it's trick. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
Fucking
weird.
trickish and manipulative.
It
Like, but
really is.
that's how we are here.
The one that I was seeing that was
Weasels.
kind of shitty and hard to deal with is like, does your employer have the right to fire you for not having a fucking
Ooh.
vaccine? Because
You open it up.
you have like within like the white collar sector, you have people at home right now working from computers and stuff like that. Well, if they reopen the office and the only rules to going back into the office is that you need a passport, if they force you, you have to come to a decision if you're quit or if your company fires you for not accepting a passport, if they're no longer going to allow you to work from home. And
I don't
you have
understand. I don't know the specifics of the Roe v. Wade argument for this, but from my lack of understanding, that would go against the whole privacy thing. Like that's my privacy. I don't have to disclose whether or not I got it or I didn't get it.
But you have to disclose whether I'm putting you in threat.
But then you're arguing with the HIV thing.
Like if I'm threatening you by, and that's the thing.
But
is COVID a fucking threat? I'm so sorry. Never mind. Erase it. I'm sorry. Just erase what I just said. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's just
I
a hard
feel like
place
we're not
to
saying
be,
what
man.
we really want to say.
Which is what?
COVID. Like, it's
Yeah.
not the same as AIDS. Am I allowed to say that?
No, I completely agree with you. It's not nowhere near.
But the argument would be made, and we'd have to accept it. Sometimes man.
I just feel like it's a reaction, an overreaction. I feel like it's an argument you've made before. Like we love to overreact to things.
All the time. Everything we do here is overreaction.
So if you kill somebody without like knowing about it, is it called like an unbiased murder? You're just like, I didn't even know I did it. Or
Yeah,
it's like, no, you
you
fucking
still
did it,
catch
dude.
a murder charge. You still catch the charge. I think it's like manslaughter or something instead of
No, I
murder.
think it is third-degree murder.
Or it's third-degree murder that's on accident.
Because if you knowingly,
That's manslaughter if you know. Correct?
manslaughter, I think is something like an accident is manslaughter.
Okay, so then yeah, it
And
would be
third
manslaughter.
degree is if you knowingly did something and it led to a death. That would be
because you
third
knew
degree.
you had the disease.
Exactly.
Well, if you
Because-
don't know though, because if you're
'cause-
asymptomatic, you just didn't go get tested.
And now we have to introduce lie detectors all of a sudden to the
Yeah.
judicial system because we have to believe or not believe did he know or not.
Yeah.
Like, come on, son.
Intent, the whole intent thing. You can't prove intent. That's really difficult.
Ever. This
Yeah.
is stupid.
Which is a perfect segue now to the Chauvin Trials, which we can talk about a little bit because the reason why I know that is because apparently George Floyd's friend, he was one of the witnesses for the prosecutor side, and he decided to plead the fifth and not actually follow through because he didn't want to incriminate himself because he sold George Floyd the fentanyl that he took.
Mhm.
And the reason why he decided to plead the fifth was because if you actually provide someone a lethal drug and they die from you providing it to them,
They're going to jail.
that is third degree murder.
100%.
So he didn't want to incriminate himself.
100%.
So he decided to plead the
shit.
fifth. Yeah.
100%.
And
I actually know. I don't know the person, but there's I know somebody that was pretty associate who's pretty who died because of the same thing. They thought they were taking something else, and it was early in the game, maybe like 2 years ago, before people knew fentanyl was in all these things, or the people were cutting with fentanyl. That's the problem. People are cutting their pills and cutting these like ecstasy and stuff like that with fentanyl, and so they're pressing pills. They're doing all these things. And they're not doctors. It's just like you said, home brews. These are home fucking brews. And he died. Like, he died. Like, and so it's
yeah, so to the whole Chauvin trial thing. So I don't know if y'all been keeping up with it. I've been kind of like in and out keeping up with it.
I haven't.
But
I haven't either.
John, when we first talked about when George Floyd, when it first happened, John called it. John, what'd you say?
I said they're going to beat it because they charged him with the wrong fucking murder.
They charged him with the wrong charges. They're trying to get him for third degree murder.
And the charges were changed. Do y'all remember? There were lawyers on the case already. Those lawyers got thrown off. New lawyers came and changed the charges. And now they're getting their ass whooped.
Because, yeah, they really are. They're getting their
By themselves.
Yeah. We haven't even gotten to the defense's witnesses yet. So far, this entire week has did nothing but the prosecutor's witnesses, and all the prosecutor's witnesses have strengthened the defense's argument. Because I'm not a lawyer, none of us are lawyers, so this is us talking about our limited understanding of this. So if you doubt what we're saying or don't believe what we're saying, do your own research. I highly recommend it. But from my understanding, what's going on is all the defense has to do is prove reasonable doubt. Because they're trying to say that Chauvin third degree murdered this man. Like, he had the intent to murder this man. So the defense, all they have to do is prove reasonable doubt. So with the witnesses that have come, they've proved that George Floyd took drugs.
Mm-hmm.
He was on fentanyl.
Mm-hmm.
Was he on fentanyl when he was there?
Yes, they even have a video of him apparently taking it, and then they have another video that they're going through with him actually saying, "I've eaten drugs" or something like that.
Okay, because I remember watching him inside the store, and he's moving weird, man. Like,
Yeah, he
you
was
can
moving
tell.
weird.
Well, there's a clip apparently of the friend who decided not to partake in the trial handing something to George Floyd. Apparently him, and then there's another clip of him having something in his mouth.
Mm.
So he was he's on drugs. There's a little bit of reasonable doubt now. Like there's doubt that whether or not it was the knee on the neck or if it was the drugs itself. And I'm not trying to say I'm for or against anything. I'm just trying to portray the trial right now.
Mm-hmm. It's cloudy. They made it cloudy.
Mm-hmm. And then they had another guy. I think it was some professional when it came to. I don't know professional if he was a cop or if he was some kind of trainer cops when it came to how to detain criminals or whatever, what have you. But he apparently said that Chauvin, and this is the prosecutor's witness, Chauvin actually used less force. He could have used a taser instead, and they asked him, is a taser more force or less force? Taser was more force. So he actually chose a lesser use of force to detain George Floyd, so it actually goes, it's a...
I don't know about that part because, to be honest with you, bro, tase me, bro. Don't put no knee on my neck. I'm going to be dead ass honest with you. Like, I know tasing hurts. You can say, ouch, it hurts, but one kills you. Like,
well, the argument, tasers can kill you too.
100% they can. Yeah, they can cause you heart problems. But it's a contraption made for something to do something. Like, the knee is where it's like.
But it just comes to this is the argument. Like they're
their
trying to prove
their own
intent,
defense is fucking up.
Exactly, because now they gave a room to say if he had the option to use a taser, and taser's a more lethal force than the knee on the neck, then he clearly didn't have the intent of murder.
And my problem with that, the only problem I have, because I still agree, but my only problem I have with that is who's to say a taser is more force than a knee on the neck based on what?
You also have to compare like
weight.
Like not only that, but the time, the duration. So
well,
like
that's
one
tase
thing, is worth 8 minutes of like knee to neck. Like what?
No, I can see. I'm a completely agree with you too, Doc. I also think that like I don't agree with the charge of murder, but the fact that he was on his neck for 8 minutes was ridiculous. I feel it was unnecessary. But the problem is, again, this is all the prosecutor's witness. Like they're shooting themselves in the foot. Their own witness said
because they don't
or
want
attested
him to be
that.
Charged.
Huh?
Because they don't want Chauvin to be charged.
We'll get to that with the conspiracy of it because I got some ideas also. But their own witness said, the defense asked the prosecutor's own witness if they've ever been in a situation where they had to keep a man under custody under similar circumstances until someone arrived. He said, yes, I've had to detain someone in a similar manner until the EMS arrived. So it's actually not uncommon for a cop to detain someone like that for an extended duration of time.
That's still stupid.
I agree with you.
No, I agree with you. I know you're not saying it as your opinion. I'm just saying because we do this thing, it's okay. That's the argument.
There's another argument.
We do it.
There's another argument. I didn't see I don't know if they had a different video with different angle of the footage, but apparently it shows that he wasn't on his neck. He was on his shoulder.
No,
I don't know how.
We seen the whole.
We
seen a back angle
yeah,
with the
I
Asian.
saw the clip.
There was a whole Asian guy we didn't see at first. Remember?
Yeah.
Then we're like, yo, who the f is this guy trying to skate off scot free?
Yeah.
He was on the legs
just backpedaling.
But so they put it on the neck though. Like I can understand maybe like the back, like you know what I mean, the back of the shoulders or something like that. Like, cause you're just putting your weight down just to hold him down. Like, but you're not trying to cut off the airway.
It's a blood something like a blood hold, a blood choke, a blood whatever the term is. It's not to block the airflow. It's to I guess something about the circulate. I don't know specifically what it is. It's just from my understanding of what they're trying to argue in the case.
Okay, it's not like they had 4 cops on them. But the thing is, I have a question for you guys. My opinion of all this that's going on is that there are several big players in this trying to coerce certain sides. So I'm reading this, and the police chief testifies that his actions violated policy, right? That's one party. Whoever's motivating, whatever motivation the police chief has at going against Chauvin, that's one angle, right? You have his prosecutor's angle. They're trying to get him all, or they're trying to prosecute him, supposedly. And then you have his defense's angle, right? Who are the people behind them is my question. Because all of this going on, it just seems so messy, and it's such a national spotlight thing that I feel like there are things going on behind closed doors here. Everybody wants a different conclusion because
let's get into
to benefit them.
So here's my let's get into the conspiracy of it. Here's my little conspiracy. So I would argue, and this is all conspiracy. I gotta preface that as much as I can.
For sure, but name your players.
So one could argue, and I am, that what if the prosecutors are losing on purpose
Mm-hmm.
to actually, I don't know, facilitate, promote, nurture, feed an actual riot. Because if Chauvin gets scot-free from this, which I think he will, like he's not, like, based on how things are going, he's not going to get charged.
Only reason I don't agree with that is because cases like this, 9 times out of 10, he goes away.
This is a big case, though. Like,
So is
I
Trayvon
completely
Martin.
I agree with you.
Trayvon Martin was a kid. Like, I'm just saying, like, whatever happens is going to happen. The actual public view of how black people or whatever react to this shit is we get mad, we riot for a week or two. Maybe the time has been extended to months. And then we go away and we stop caring. So I just don't think the motivation behind the prosecution would be to incite riots. Or whoever's.
I don't think it's okay. Let me elaborate, complete the full thought then.
Okay.
I think they're trying to lose on purpose, not necessarily the prosecutors, but whoever's up there in charge, because they want to use the potential riots like they did with the George Floyd riots for some political gain. Votes,
That's what I'm saying.
Influence, power. I don't know what have you. Again, I have no real anything to justify. It's just me being conspiratorial and blah blah blah.
But that's what I'm saying. I feel like you would get more votes if that person who wants the votes, they want the black votes.
And I feel like this
or
would
whatever
hold more
it is.
credence if Trump was president. Like if Trump was president and this was going on, I'd be like, they're doing this on purpose because they want to make Trump look bad.
No, I just don't see, because a riot is such an uncontrollable thing too. I just don't see anybody trying to
Is it though? Because remember those bricks when the first
Yeah.
riots, and that was suspect, man.
But I'm saying individually, you can't control individuals.
Understandable.
You know what I'm saying? So like, I don't see anybody putting a plan together that intricate, and then a variable being people just doing what they want to do.
Yeah,
That's
I don't
part
think
of
they
it.
coordinated, Portland born.
You know what I'm saying?
100 days. So.
That's what I'm saying. So I honestly think the NRA is involved somewhere. I think
How the NRA?
gun laws, whatever it is, just people involved in that type of field or whatever. I believe there's the anti-gun people somewhere are involved. Like, I believe there's a lot of parties involved in this. I just don't believe, because from hearing this case and looking at the case, I feel like I'm listening to people talk about other things and not the case.
I see what you're saying.
Okay, I see what you're saying. They're using this as a
It's
catalyst for something else.
Yeah.
Honestly, I've actually been avoiding it because of that, because I'm more so just bracing for the results, where I'm just like, cool, if he doesn't go, if he gets away, people are going to revolt. And if he does go away, then I don't know if it's going to reaffirmate some kind of like leftist push or something like that. And so I'm just like, I'm just kind of waiting to see.
Who's the party that wants him convicted?
Another side of the conspiracy is the reason why. This is not. I've read this and I thought it was interesting, but I still think it's BS. Is the reason why that the prosecutor might be losing, if intentionally, is because they don't want to further the blue wave going on, the blue exit police officers. Because right now, because of the whole like black or the whole all cops are bastards thing, and the whole defund the police thing, like cops, no one wants to be cops anymore. Cops are quitting. Our police force and crime's going up. Like, it's pretty bad. And now, if the Chauvin gets convicted of this, like, who wants to be a cop after this?
Yeah, nobody's.
I think
I'm not trying to justify what Chauvin did. Like, I am on the side of what Chauvin did was wrong. Like, you didn't have, like, dude is clear. Like, you see the clips right there. It keeps showing up. Like,
mentally,
you didn't have to do that.
Mentally, if you take the Chauvin case specifically, and you say his prosecution on this case is the reason why I do not want to be a police officer. I'm okay with that. I'm saying that group specifically, but I know you're talking about the general feeling of being a cop. But also, this is my problem when it comes to a lot of things in America. There's a disconnect between context and the domino effect of things.
Completely agree.
So is it that people, why do people have bad feelings towards cops?
Because they always like to abuse their
But
authority and
the
power.
person who doesn't want to be a cop anymore isn't thinking about that part. You know what I'm saying?
Well, there's
so everybody
I won't be able to utilize my authority and power without it being,
impeded, or somebody looking at me crazy, or I go to. So I get it, but you get what I'm saying? I get it, but then one would argue that a cop should enroll or enlist knowing those things, and now you have context for your job, actual context for your job.
Like I've been saying, we need police reform. We need to hold our police more accountable and stuff.
Well, the hard part is like
the right way.
So.
But I don't believe all cops.
So right now,
are
like
bastards.
kids,
Neither do I.
they see the media and they go like, I don't want to be a cop, dude. They're monsters. Like, what the hell? Like, why would I do that? All signs are telling me don't be a cop because cops are the bad guys. And the thing about that though is that we need cops. Like, we're still gonna have cops. It's a society. Like, we're gonna have them. The only thing is that now we're gonna be pulling from the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah.
And so
that's the problem.
it's
Where were we
kind of
pulling
like
from before?
Well,
well, not the very bottom, but we're gonna get there. Like,
Are you sure?
I mean,
I
I
think-
like
I
to
think
think so, man. I mean,
This is my.
I'd like to think
This
I
is
would,
this
dog.
is
I'd
this
like
is
to
honestly
think so.
speaking. This is my 100% opinion. City police is different from every other police in whatever state you are in. Atlanta police is different from Valdosta. You get what I'm saying? And if you do the math, even if you say 50% of APD is perfectly well-trained, smart guys, individuals, then you count the rest of Georgia police. I'm talking about the countries, the hills, the place where there's may not be a mayor. The biggest running position in the city is sheriff. The sheriff's son plays quarterback
talked
for
about this
Smallville.
before.
Yeah, like in Smallville.
yeah.
Like those type of towns, those aren't the top of the middle or the. That's the guy who was a bully in high school and ended up
The quarterback that couldn't get a scholarship and decided to.
and that's
Well-
the general. That's
well,
the general
I kind of I
because
like
the
to,
cities are different.
I like to live by the motto of like economize your demons. So I don't blame a man who's a bully in school who becomes a cop. Like
Oh,
if
no,
he
for sure.
if he can utilize that evil and flip it into a good, then yeah, like for sure be a cop. Like obviously don't be a murderous cop, because that's just you're just abusing your power and you're abusing your nature. So I can totally understand if that's within their nature and they just decide to use it for the benefit of like society. My thing about that is like, I'm not gonna do it. I wasn't a bully in high school. I don't want to be a cop, man. So
But
like,
also
if he
that's
wants
a-
to do it, like it's fine.
But also, that's an after effect of you being a cop. So, like, if you're a bully but in high school, right, and you decide I want to be a cop, but you want to utilize the good things you've learned to be a cop or you're no longer a bully. But whereas if you're a bully in high school and you're like, because I was a bully in high school, I need to be a cop. That's what I'm talking about. And that's a lot of the country doesn't know. America is country as fuck. The actual America is not the cities. That's not most of us.
I agree with that, and I feel like that's a problem when it comes to the representation of America.
It's countries like it's all America's a lot more. Most of America's a lot more closer to 2000 than they are to 2020. It's just the fact because America's a small town country. We believe in having our little pockets and this is our living, and we sell that and we pride ourselves on. Yeah, we pride ourselves on it. Most of it isn't New York City. We have a large amount of people there, but that's not the larger percent of the country. The reason, the proof of that is Georgia's never really been blue until now. But if you stayed in Atlanta, you would think all of Georgia was blue.
Mm-hmm.
But then you realize, Augusta, Macon,
If you lived in Austin, you think Texas was blue.
was blue. But then you realize, oh God, we're just
Like for
in an
example,
echo
when I went to
chamber.
go visit Texas last year, I think it was around November, when I was driving into Texas, there were Trump flags everywhere. Right when you hit Austin, Biden.
And so everybody in Austin is thinking, everybody's thinking like us in Austin. But no, that's not the fucking case. So just like the police, even George Floyd that died in a big city, now you put that in the country? Oh, man. First off, we might not even hear about it. Like the boy who got wrapped in the fucking gym.
Yep.
Can you right now?
That's
And so now we're
crazy.
talking about police in the country. That's what's always weird for me. I'm never really like, city police have it hard. I understand that. I'm always actually more big on like, what about that town where there's actually nobody to say this isn't right, this isn't fair, and that's most of America, and that's scary for me as far as policing. You can pull me over and whatever you said happened because I'm in Spencer, Tennessee, Van Boyton. I told you I went to jail there. Nigger written all over the wall. Meth head had to break me out my cuffs. Meth head. They were feeding me egg sandwiches, and on Friday you got tomato on the egg sandwich.
I actually think that that's like the paranoia for both sides, though, man. Like people who live in the country are afraid of disappearing in the city.
100%.
There's not enough cops for the amount of people. You die in the street. Nobody fucking finds out because the cops can't get to you. When they do, there's so many people around. Like, so it's just a paranoia people have of both sides. Like, so I had a girlfriend that lived in the country, like deep in the country, and I remember everybody in her town knew each other, and I thought it was the fucking scariest thing in the world. because they were like, "Oh, that's Jimmy. He's walking into his job. He always goes in at 2 p.m." And I'm like, "How the fuck do you know that? Like, why? Like, what? Like, dude, like, I was like, if they really wanted to make somebody disappear, you're right, dude. They could just do it, and they would
They
all
just
say
do
like,
it.
we're all in on it."
They know
That's
your
fair.
schedule.
And then the
Yeah.
scary part about shit like that, let's just be conspiratorial. The funny shit about that, right? I'm the sheriff. I knocked that boy's head off, right? Body found, blah, 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 blah. FBI, somebody comes into town. By the time these motherfuckers done came into town, I done got everything lined up. Because guess what? I'm the motherfucking sheriff.
You know
And
how
I
the
can
system,
do that.
Yeah.
See
There's
her
probably 6 cops in my precinct that we all went to high school together.
her rebuttal was like, but like in the city, you can disappear in a crowd and like people would never even notice. Like you could do something and just walk away and nobody would ever know that it was you. And you could
I think it's the opposite, though, because there's cameras everywhere now in the city, and
That's
there's eyes
true. There
everywhere
are
in the city.
cameras
You know,
now
like,
everywhere in the city.
there's,
And
like, people
iPhones,
do
too.
disappear, obviously, in the city, but it's just like, there's,
I don't
you
know,
have
man.
chance,
Like,
you have a
could
better
just-
chance of
But
being
I agree
seen.
with Doc. It's just
Yeah.
both sides.
100%. I just think
Yeah,
you
I
have a better
mean,
chance of being seen.
You could be like wearing like just covers and walk around and just kind of drop a grenade and keep walking forward and nobody would know.
100%.
There'd
But
be,
you
like,
could
just
be
a
dead
disaster.
on your farm for 2 weeks and nobody knows.
It's both sides, bro. Like it's scary. You don't know. You gotta decide where you want to live. I actually kind of like
Johnny
the city,
at 2
man.
p.m. today.
It just comes down to there's a risk no matter what, and everyone chooses risk differently.
100%.
Yeah, risk
100%.
assessment. That's funny. That's the second time it's come up today for me.
Oh, really?
I was listening to Dan Crenshaw talk about risk assessment on Joe Rogan's podcast, and that's one of the things he pointed out. Where it's just like he was seeing the way the left and the right were fighting, and he was just like both sides were literally just performing risk assessment, and they were arguing the way that we should go about it, and that's just what.
Yeah,
was
it's just
That's
two different
100%.
ways. Yeah, it's very different. But
But
that's why I still stand by my opinion that the left needs the right and the right needs the left.
100%.
It's just that I feel like we have a history of outlining when the right goes too far, whereas we don't have as long of a history to point when the
new.
left goes. Exactly, it's relatively new.
Mm-hmm. It's been bubbling, though. It's been bubbling.
I would argue the opposite though. The left goes
Go for it.
like the was it like the People's Revolution, dude? Like China, dude. Like Maoism. That's the left going too far. They're literally just over progressive, and they have a leader that's charismatic and leading them. And he's just telling them what to do, and they go
That's
out. And they just
authoritative. But you would agree that's authoritative, right? Authoritarian.
sort
you were talking
of,
specifically to
because it
America,
wasn't like a, it wasn't the.
Dictator-ish, I guess.
So it's definitely dictatorial.
Totalitarian?
So the thing about it was that like he convinced mobs, like civilian mobs, to take out intellectuals and to take out like people that were considered the elites
Hand in his
because
pocket.
they were working against him. Like they were essentially leading political parties that were going to cut out his power from under him. So he basically started witch hunts within groups of people, and they would go and they would kill intellectuals and they would kill political leaders and stuff like that. They were basically
Fascist kind of stuff.
His enemies. It not necessarily. Well, fascism more so is when the police are doing it. This wasn't the police. This was just mobs of
fair.
people. And he was just be like, "That man's a witch," and they'd be like, "Oh shit, get him!" And they'd go and they'd fucking kill him and stuff like
Run!
that. Yeah, and it lasted for a little while until like he just owned everything, and that's what I would see when like the mobs
left
are going
goes
too
with-
crazy. And if you ever see people who like criticize the left as like what they could potentially become, they always say Maoism, because I mean that could be the thing. They could start going for people that are like anti-gay. I mean, it's funny because I actually see a lot of like anti-Christian sentiment within strong people because they directly contrast, you know, like being gay, being trans, and like all that stuff, because the religion is really set in its ways and it's still traditional. And so I could definitely see them just being like, all right, go kill traditional leaders, like just stop it. The hard part about that happening though is that like you also
socially
have
doing that.
yeah, essentially we're virtually doing it.
Yeah, we're virtually doing it now.
And so the hard part about it though is that like you have other conservative religions within the United States that would probably backlash. Like if you go after the Christians, what's to stop you from going for the Muslims? If you go after the Muslims, what's to stop you from going to all like the Hindus and stuff
All
like
the
that? Every other
denominations,
culture
yeah.
that has a traditional mindset.
I agree. I guess my only point was just like when you ask someone when can the right go too far, white supremacy, racism, some kind of fascism, or anything like that, you can clearly define or point.
What you were talking about,
when the
I think
right
you're being
goes
specific
too
to
far.
America, though, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, because we have a documented
But
history
we
of the
use
right
other,
going too far in America.
yes, exactly. But we do use other countries' experiences to help give us a
For the
little
left.
guidance, exactly. But when it comes to the left, like when I ask you when does the left go too far, what would you say?
I would have to cite another country.
Like Doc just did exactly
Mhm.
with Maoism. But we don't. You can't. But outside of that, like for example, like
It's never gone that far in America. Literally. So it's like, do we want to watch it go that far and then so we
No.
can talk about it?
No.
Usually, it's like the way I've read it in history is just that liberalism goes too far when it gets too open, and then
equity.
Mm.
no, like it usually it just has too many what's the word I'm looking for, like imperfections and too many points of vulnerability.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like you're trading too much. You're giving away all your money. You're doing all this stuff. You're just too open.
It's also
You're
based off a
fucking up.
principality of being fair, which doesn't
Equity.
exist.
Yeah,
Like, fairness doesn't exist.
it doesn't.
Yeah, I've actually jumped on that bandwagon of was it like equal beginnings but not equal outcomes? Like I
Yeah.
don't agree with equal outcomes at
100%.
all.
100%, Doc. Equal. I like that.
And so the way I've always seen like conservative people or like kind of going under is they just get too tight, they get too rigid, and they never evolve, and then they die.
Yeah,
They get stuck up.
Yeah.
Conservative people get stuck up. They get older, they get more stuck up. That's how they develop. Liberal people get more idealistic and less logical.
See, that's the problem. Is conservatives obviously conserve. They want to conserve what's already established. The problem
Stick up
is
their butt.
they get a stick
I'm
up their butt.
playing.
Well, they I tend to lean more conservative, and I've interacted with conservatives more than I do liberals. And
Mhm.
when I do interact with conservatives, that's one of my biggest gripes. Is dude, get the stick out of your ass, dog. Like it's not that serious. Relax. And then my problem when I interact with liberals
Ugh.
is like, dude, you're in fairy la la land. Like
Why?
we can't reach this utopia you're trying to reach. Like that's unrealistic. You think people can work together like that? It can agree on things like that?
Do you know what a liberal's least favorite word is? How.
Yeah.
That's actually kind of good. That's pretty fucking good, man. That's funny.
Just let them talk and then ask how. Let them do all the talking, but how?
And I guess I'll conclude my last thought is that's why, again, I always say this, liberals need conservatives because conservatives need liberals to get the new ideas, and liberals need conservatives to set the ideas, the parameters.
Foundation.
Exactly.
Balance
See,
it out.
It's funny you say that because during that interview, Dan Crenshaw actually says something where he's just like, what he doesn't understand is the approach where it's just like, so let me get this straight. You're mad that we're not at a utopia yet, so you're gonna burn everything down so that we could start again to do it, even though like we've
Oh
already
my
built
goodness.
onto it and we're gonna get there. Maybe we're gonna keep trying at least.
I don't
But
even
you're
think it's
just
debatable. We
frustrated,
built
and
the
so you
best
just wanna
country to ever
burn it down.
exist. It's got its flaws. I'm not saying it's not flawless, but like it's the best system that's been created historically.
But if you're talking about just benefiting yourself, the best system, technically speaking, would be England. Because they have nothing but own everything. And I don't understand how the Queen owns 75% of Earth. How? That island? The little island that the Vikings was fucking up? Let's end this podcast.
They just went hard, bro.
Let's-
Isn't something like 60% of all Independence Days are celebrated from England? Like
From
they're-
England.
Yeah, they're like independent from them.
That little island. King Alfred, Gene. Let's just end this podcast because
We're starting talking about the
Yeah, we
Vikings
started
and all
the-
that kind of stuff, which is a good show, by the way, and y'all should
Man.
check it out.
Ragnar, my boy, you
know.
ain't do enough.
Ube,
You
Bjorn.
didn't do enough.
All right.
Supposed to kill them all.
I think we're
Fake
I think we're trying and we're working our way towards it, man, and we're just gonna fucking keep trying to be better.
Yeah.
Start
Hopefully.
off at the
Hopefully.
best, end with the best, hopefully.
But there are people who look at you trying to be better and be like, he got it. I'm going to do me.
Or I don't want you to be better than me. I'm gonna cut the legs from your feet or
Exactly.
from under you.
Crabs in a goddamn
Bucket. All right, I think that's enough fake deep thinking for today, guys. Make sure you follow our Twitter at podcastfdt. Follow our YouTube page at Fake Deep Thinking. Make sure you leave a like, subscribe, comment.
And send me your numbers if you're fine ladies.
See you next time on Fake Deep Thinking. Peace.
I will fucking pay.